I just got a big one that I was thinking about the other day, like, because like this whole channel, which is about like spreading enlightenment values, which I think is fantastic, and like you are the, like, I know you brag about it, you're the only ones that consistently do it. Right? It's kind of terrifying. But like we're obviously working on a ground level. You guys are working on a ground level, like changing individual minds and such. But like we know that like, public opinion shifts and moves very easily, and people forget and will compromise based on what's ideal. So how much do you think like government intervention, like what Macron's doing now in France, is needed or worth it? And what do you see in the future? And what would you kind of want ideally in terms of kind of individual minds change / government policies of like teaching in schools and such? I mean, just a general question.
All right. By the way, the super chats, we're not gonna miss them. Okay, so we're gonna get to the super chats very soon. So you're asking what Macron is doing, like for us to judge what Macron is doing right now, or what are we gonna recommend for him to do going forward?
I kind of been like, because we're changing minds individually, like kind of like almost like street
top down versus bottom up.
Yeah, because we're this is this kind of street epistemology kind of thing ish,
right?
Like, as opposed to instituting teaching at schools and such things and things like that, and enshrining it in values. And I wonder how much you think what's going to help more and what you want to have more in the future.
I think this is why I was so encouraged by Macron's initial speech before all of this went down, right? Mm-hmm. I think fighting against segregation and also making sure that France's Enlightenment values does somehow reach the children, right? And also integrating France's Muslims with the rest of society by just making sure that just making sure they don't have their own areas that is separate from everyone else, their own schools, their own stores, their own shops, their own areas that they go to. I mean, if you just manage to integrate, like, just interact with other people, right? It's really harder for them to hate other people and see them as enemies if they see them as co-workers, classmates, people that they have to do project with, people that they have to say good morning to, people that they have to say see you tomorrow to. That goes, I think that goes a long way. And also kids growing up, Muslim kids growing up next to other kids, having to do art projects with. I mean, I think that's major, right? So this whole idea of these Muslim communities being able to raise their children in bubbles that are not exposed to anything, none of the cartoons, none of the, not just seeing a teacher that is not Muslim and growing up with them and not being able to hate, like, how could I hate French people? I love my teacher. How could I hate this person, right? I think that is, so when I saw Macron going against segregation and trying to come up with ways to tackle that, I was like, yes, that seems to be, I mean, you could just compare the Muslims in France on average to the Muslims in Canada. Yeah. It's like it's so different. It's so different. Muslims in United States, even after Trump, they want to be Americans. Even after Trump, they want to be like, yeah, I'm American. I'm an American. Like, they're proud to be, they want to be American, right? And Muslims in Canada as even more, right? So what is different? The difference is when you go to university in Vancouver, or when you go to high school, the Muslim kids are sitting right next to you. They're watching the same lectures. We're talking about the same TV shows, okay? So yeah, maybe they go to the mosque and I won't, but then they come back and we're hanging with each other, and they see other people, but they want to be part of society. They want to know what the rest of the people are talking about. They want to go watch the shows that we want to watching and talk about that. They're talking. So I think, and again, because it's not just for the Muslims who are exposed to other non-Islamic views and non-Islamic people. It's also for the sake of non-Muslims to be exposed to Muslims, because it's easy to demonize Muslims.
Oh yeah.
If they are on the other side of the city, and you're like, yeah.
Well, I'm in the UK, so I've had the thing where like majority of my interactions with Muslims are walking through neighborhoods that are completely separated and cornered off. And like now I'm at university, I'm getting a lot more interaction. It's lovely, but before it was just it was very much the other, and I understand why we over here we've had the EDL and other groups kind of skyrocket popularity.
Yeah, so I'm a big proponent of the bottom up approach, which is why I'm a big fan of organizations such as Ideas Beyond Borders and the work they're doing in Iraq to spread ideas amongst the people. Because, well, what Faisal Saeed al-Martar talks about is one of the failures of U.S. interventions in the Middle East so far is that and what Armin talks about as well, is what our success was against communism was that we successfully identified that this is an ideological war. Right? We won the battle of ideas. We had better ideas, and capitalism was very obviously a more attractive idea, just on the prosperity that people were experiencing. I think it's a similar situation where we have failed to properly promote, market, however you want to put it, the value of Enlightenment values, which is why teaching the population why these are better, why these bring more people into prosperity, will teach them the value of having governments that help defend those values, constitutions that enshrine those values and those rights and those protections, right? But we need populations to understand why these are superior to begin with.
Yeah.
And so efforts to educate general populations, I think, are extremely valuable.
But again, that's the difference between what the work what we do and the difference government is supposed to do. Okay, so when it comes to educating people about certain ideas, that's an activist kind of, I think from the government perspective, just fighting against segregation. And again, I just want to say this one more time. This is also in the best interest of the Muslims. Okay, it's going to be more difficult for people to demonize entire groups of people if they engage with them on a daily basis, right? So this is not, you have to, trying to make them submit to Enlightenment values. This is like, hey, if people see you, if people interact with you, even if they disagree with you, it's going to be harder for them to hate you. Okay, so this is for their sake as well. I do want to, before we lose these super chats, I do want to address them before we go back to
Dave, thank you for the $5. Sid is saying, do you think Muslims will cause World War III? Hindus, Christians, and Jews versus Muslims? Short answer, no.
No. What? World War III?
No.
No. Christians,
So-
Hindus, Jews versus no.
No.
No. Yeah.
I'm more worried about China.
Before we go back to Luke, let's do this one as well. Idris is saying, France used to be one of the best countries in Europe when it came to Muslim integration, but this has obviously changed. To be fair to France, we keep comparing France to UK, to France and UK. We're comparing it to United States and Canada. But the problem, it's a little bit unfair because one major advantage that United States and Canada have is that they have an ocean between them and Islamic countries, and it's easier for them to get higher grade Muslims because at least the Muslims that go there have to be able to afford a plane ticket, right? And that by itself does some of the screening for you. But also because the higher volume of people that are able to come to Canada and United States, the screening process becomes a lot cheaper and easier. So as much as we keep wanting to say like, oh, UK, France, you did it wrong, it is a bit unfair to them if you compare it. Like they don't have like people coming from the underbelly of Europe, all of it's like that mass wave of migration coming. It's really a difficult thing to handle, and this is why foreign policy is also an important part of this, right? Like trying to not come up with ways to stabilize Islamic countries. This is why a lot of people say, oh, just stay out of these countries. It's a bit, it comes from a good place, but sometimes it's a bit too simplistic because countries like France and UK do have a major motivation in trying to make it less appealing to people for them to leave Syria and Iraq, right? So it is in their best interest to somehow figure out how to way not to let these countries collapse, at least not being responsible for it.